They told me my kidneys were failing, that the damage had been building for years quietly, invisibly, the way regret builds when you think you're doing the right thing. I remember the doctor's voice was gentle, the way you speak to someone you can't help anymore. It's from the herbs, he said. I almost laughed. Herbs. The things I trusted more than medicine, more than science, more than anyone. All those little bottles lined up on my kitchen counter, labeled with promises cleansing, detoxifying, renewing. I used to believe nature couldn't hurt me. I used to believe I was wiser than doctors. I was wrong. My name isn't important. It's enough to say I'm 76, and I have been treating myself for most of my adult life, not because I hated doctors, but because I didn't trust them. My mother died in a hospital, hooked up to machines that beeped like cruel metronomes. I was only 21, standing beside her, watching people in white coats talk around her like she wasn't there. After that, I swore I'd never end up like that, cold, medicated, lost in the system. I wanted control over my own body. So I turned to what I thought was pure, natural, ancient. The herbs, the teas, the powders that smelled like earth and hope. It started small chamomile for sleep, ginga for digestion, ginseng for energy. But like all things that promise safety, it became an obsession. Whenever something ached, I looked for a route to fix it. Whenever I was tired, I brewed a tea. Whenever I was scared, I added more vitamins, more extracts. More little green capsules from the shop that said natural in friendly letters. I stopped seeing my doctor. I stopped taking my prescribed medicine. Chemicals, I called them as if plants weren't chemicals too. For years, I felt fine, better. Even, I tell my friends that nature had all the answers, that the body knows how to heal itself if you only listen. They'd nod politely, maybe even believe me a little. It's easy to sound wise when your ideas are comforting. People want to believe healing is gentle, that the world is kind. I wanted to believe it too. So I ignored the headaches, the swelling, the fatigue that crept in like a shadow. I told myself it was old age, or the weather, or maybe a little too much salt in my soup. What I didn't tell myself, what I couldn't admit, was that the things I thought were saving me were slowly poisoning me. It wasn't until my daughter found me collapsed on the kitchen floor that I realized something was truly wrong. I woke up in the hospital, IV in my arm, machines whispering around me, the same beeping, the same sterile smell I had feared all my life. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had spent decades running from this place, only to end up here anyway. sicker than I ever would have been if I had just trusted someone other than myself. The doctor was kind, but his eyes were tired. "Your kidneys are failing," he said. "We can manage it, but we can't reverse it." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say the herbs were pure, that nature wouldn't do this. But my body was the proof. Nature doesn't care about your beliefs. It just reacts to what you give it. I used to say I didn't trust doctors because they treat symptoms, not causes. But now I see that I was the one treating symptoms, my fear, my mistrust, my need to feel in control. The herbs were never just medicine, they were armor. Every pill I took was a small rebellion against the helplessness I'd felt watching my mother die. I thought if I could heal myself, I could outsmart death, but death doesn't bargain, and control is not the same as safety. The first round of dialysis was the hardest. I sat in a chair for hours, watching blood move through tubes, listening to the hum of machines, cleaning what my body could no longer handle. There was an older man next to me, quiet, kind eyes. He said, "We all think we can heal ourselves until the truth catches up." I nodded. He was right. Healing isn't control. Healing is surrender to care, to knowledge, to the possibility that you might not know everything. My daughter visits every week. She brings me real medicine now. The kind with prescription labels and side effects printed in small, terrifying fonts. I take them without complaint. Sometimes she cries when she sees me do it. I think it's relief. I think she spent years watching me disappear into superstition. I'm afraid she'd lose me to my own stubbornness. I want to tell her I'm sorry not just for getting sick, but for teaching her that trusting others was weakness. I see it in her now, that same self-reliance, that same quiet refusal to ask for help. I hope she unlearns it faster than I did. The nurses tell me I'm brave. I smile, but I know bravery isn't the word. It's not bravery to face what you've caused yourself. It's just reality, and reality doesn't ask for courage, only honesty. There's something humbling about learning the limits of what you can fix. It strips away the arrogance of certainty. I used to think I was wise because I read labels and brewed my own teas. Now I know wisdom isn't about knowledge. It's about knowing when to listen. Sometimes I think about the bottles still sitting on my kitchen shelf, the little glass jars filled with green and brown powders, each one labelled with promises: liver cleanse, blood purifier, kidney tonic. I can't help but laugh at the irony. They didn't cleanse anything. They just gave me the illusion of control. Maybe that's what most of us are really addicted to, not the cure, but the comfort of believing we're in charge. If you're listening to this and you've ever thought you knew better than the people trying to help you, please don't make my mistake. Ask questions. Yes, doubt if you must, but don't confuse fear with wisdom. The body is delicate. It's chemistry and miracle, science and soul. It doesn't care if your medicine comes from a pharmacy or a forest. It only cares whether it helps or harms, and sometimes the difference isn't as clear as you'd like to believe. I still drink tea, but now it's chamomile, plain and harmless, served by a nurse who reminds me to breathe and to be patient. I sit by the window during treatment and watch the sunlight move across the floor. It feels strange to let machines keep me alive, but maybe this is what trust feels like. Surrendering to something outside of yourself and hoping it holds. I used to think being natural meant rejecting help. Now I think it means accepting that everything, the herbs, the machines, the people are all part of nature, all trying in their own imperfect ways to heal you. If I could speak to the woman I was 20 years ago, I'd tell her this: you are not the medicine, you are the patient. You don't have to know everything. You just have to allow yourself to be cared for, because sometimes the most natural thing you can do is admit you need help, and sometimes the bravest act of healing is simply letting someone else save you.